Hello, tourist. Are you ready to throw yourself again amongst hordes of walkers and find yourself in the middle of clashes between opposing factions? Sharpen your blades and load your guns, because you will be called once again to roam the streets of New Orleans in the middle of the zombie apocalypse in The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution, already available on Quest 2 and released today, March 21, also on PC and PSVR2. Second chapter and sequel to a title that we can safely count among the best, not only in its genre, but in the ranking of the best VR games ever. If you haven't played the first chapter yet, know that it's not mandatory to face the various vicissitudes of the tourist on his first arrival in New Orleans, but since the narrative component is a cornerstone of this game, I strongly suggest you to play the first chapter with its DLC Aftershocks before playing Retribution. The story continues exactly where you left off the tourist last time. Warning, a little spoiler. So advance to the end of the spoiler chapter in this video playback. And exactly upon returning from Bastion after founding the Axeman Refuge, a ruthless serial killer who, for some reason, has drawn up a kill list and has already begun his purge work. And next on the list, it's you. End of the spoiler, and here I begin to tell you about the history of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution. Along the way, you'll meet new characters, some friendly, such as a quirky group of young survivors who rebel against the methods of Mama, leader of the group at the tower, and who wants to foil her plans. As in the first chapter, some missions will be communicated to you by radio or by some characters you will meet in the various districts, and in some cases, you will be able to choose whether to carry out the requests of the one rather than the other character. Small new, in addition to the main missions, you will be able to accept secondary missions from some characters who are stationed at near crates, inside which you can find special equipment. Each of these side missions is based on the search of resources that can vary from food scans to vinyl records. Therefore, unlike the first chapter, where everything you found you had to recycle to create the workbench items, you will have to keep them, because you will never know which item you will be required for the next mission. Therefore, it is always better to have them already with you. The story of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution is more complex and compelling than the first chapter. The hordes of walkers are more numerous, and it will be more complex to move from one point to another in the map. But the crux of the matter this time revolves around the clash with those of the tower, and above all, the aftermath with your hunter, the Axeman. The gameplay of Retribution is identical to the first chapter. You will be able to move freely between the districts, using the map you find on the raft, and explore freely, even without following the missions. You will simply be able to collect resources from the creation of objects, or go in search of collectibles, such as statues of angels or demons. There is one hidden in each map, or follow the clue you find in the work tables to find the hidden recipes that will allow you to unlock new special equipments. There are some new features, such as the ability to mount a couple of weapons accessories, such as the laser pointer, studded gauntlets that allow you to punch walkers, new areas to explore, like your new headquarters and a storage room in a crypt under the school bus, 2 new crafting tables with a host of new recipes and weapons, and finally, the map of the tower and the hotel district. The flashlight found in the Aftershocks DLC, the one that allows you to see hidden messages thanks to the purple light, will also often use in Retribution, especially to find the clue that will lead you to the various merchants in the city. From these, you will be able to accept research missions, and once you find the necessary resources, you will be able to unlock their chests, which contain special items. Walkers are a little more active. Not only now will they move in larger groups, but they will even leap from roofs and windows to reach you. And remember that in Retribution, darkness is not only a disadvantage now, because it greatly reduced the distance from which humans and walkers can see you. So traveling at night now is it possible, and above all, it's all convenient. Weapons and resources are always limited, and you won't be able to go around guns blazing, cracking heads and shooting widely. Melee weapons can break, firearms jam or explode, hunger reduces your health and fatigue, and once you reach your stamina limit, it reduces your movement speed and strength. So when you're exhausted, you won't be able to not even lift the weapon to shoot or strike, and you won't be able to run. So make sure this doesn't happen just when a huge horde of walkers is about to descend on you. Unfortunately, all this beauty is devastated by the truly ridiculous intelligence of the enemies. This is the review of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution on PC, and it's the graphics of this version that I'm about to tell you about. In a future video, however, I will compare side by side the graphics of the PC version with the standalone one on Quest 2, not to decree which one of the two versions has the better graphics, of course, but just to show you the difference between the two games. Furthermore, for this review, Retribution was played on a system equipped with a GTX 1660 Ti, a Ryzen 5 3600 and 16GB of RAM at 3200. With this configuration, I was able to set the highest settings and enjoy a fairly fluid experience. Retribution offers more or less the same show as the first chapter. The graphics have a comic style because the game takes its cue from the comic book and not from the TV series, so the environments, the models and everything is around you doesn't look realistic but stylized. On PC, however, there are beautiful lights and shadows, edges and lines of the various well-defined and non-serrated objects, many details on walkers, weapons and other characters, some surfaces show metallic reflections, and in some cases the textures of the fabrics are shown. There are no smooth lines, everything is a bit boxy, but if you know the Walking Dead comics, you will know that this is a feature of this work. On the body of the walkers, the weapons leave bullet holes and deep cuts. When blows are inflicted on the head with mace or sharp blades, the skull is deformed, cracking or opening in half. Is it possible to decapitate or maim enemies by depriving them of legs and arms? And your hands will soon fill with blood, on which you can see luminous reflections that respond to the surrounding light. Retributions offer a better fog effect than the first chapter. The scenes where you will play in the dark are really dark, even on Quest 2, thanks to an update of the standalone version that adjusted the contrast, giving the player narrow and dark corridors, even for those who have played it on Quest 2 so far. I've always felt a certain anguish rummaging through abandoned houses around New Orleans neighborhood. Every time I opened a door, I always worried about looking behind me with the fear that a walker will come up behind me, hiding to let him pass rather than facing him because I was low on weapons and ammunitions, trying to lose him by hiding in the hope that he would not enter through that door, walking crouched that night so as not to be discovered by those in the tower, and the fear I felt exploring the corridors and rooms of the clinic. These and much more is already enough to make you feel 100% protagonist and make you forget that you are in a game and that in the end nothing bad can happen to you. But in The Walking Dead you really feel in danger, haunted, chased, and if it weren't for the comic style that reminds you that you are not in a real situation, it will be a real nightmare to play this game. To complete the dose of anxiety, there is the soundtrack, which is usually among the first thing I deactivated in a game, but the one of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners deserved to be left on, because it marks the rhythm of the combat phases, it gives the sense of perdition when the hordes arrive, and when you find yourself in neutral situation, it reminds you that no matter what you do, the situation is now hopeless. It's lost. It's the fucking end of the world. If the approximately 4 hours to complete the main campaign weren't enough, know that it will take you at least 30 hours to find all the collectibles, recipes, and complete all the side missions. So, before saying the game is too short, accept the challenge and try to find all the hidden elements, complete the requests of all the merchants, unlock dozens of achievements, and only then you can boast of having completed the game. Despite the common style, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution managed to immerse you in a compelling story worthy of a big-screen movie, make you experience moments of tension, fear, but also adrenaline in the many shootings you will face, even if against enemies who do not seem to surpass walkers in terms of intelligence. The story that will lead you to discover the truth behind the X-Men is only a little part of the whole picture, and the plot has no shortage of twists, but the ending that will keep you in suspense until the very end. It's not a perfect game, but based on my personal approval rating, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution, it deserved the maximum score. The new maps are well crafted and vast, the game is full of action from the beginning to the end, there are many new features compared to the first chapters, but on the other hand, the intelligence of human enemies is very ridiculous. Some little minor bugs make it difficult to complete some missions, and some areas look a bit sparse and lacking in detail. I'll leave you with a few seconds of gameplay. Thank you for watching completed the video, like, share, subscribe and ring the bell, activate all the notifications. From Benitol, see you to the next one, and see you in VR. Have fun, guys.